One of the unique things about the book of Jeremiah is that we actually have accounts of the words being written down by a scribe, not only once, but twice. There was a brief mention of something like that in Isaiah 8, but we know who the scribe is in Jeremiah, and we have narrative that involves the writing down of the prophet's words. The scribe, of course, is Baruch, and he writes the words down that Jeremiah speaks and delivers them to the king's court. Now, what this shows us is that primarily in its origin, the prophetic oracle would have been spoken. It was not meant to be just written down, but it would have been delivered in person to a particular audience. This first set of words that Baruch writes down are given to the king's court. The king takes the scroll, cuts it up, and burns it. The words are written a second time, and it is this that perhaps is the basis of the text we have now. Now, it's not clear what the words would have been written on, whether it would have been papyrus, as we see on the left. That was a common writing material. Or would have been parchment. We see a lot of parchment or animal skin being used, say, for example, among the Dead Sea Scrolls, very little papyrus, although possibly that's because papyrus is somewhat more perishable. We don't really know. It could have been either one. But you can see that they didn't have a book form like we do, and so you would have had a scroll. The script that would have been used is something like this. It would not have been what we call the Hebrew square script, which is what modern Hebrew is written in, and what the Hebrew Bible from the Middle Ages or even the Dead Sea Scrolls are mostly written in. But this would have been an older Hebrew script borrowed from the Phoenicians in about the 10th century BCE. In chapter 36, in the 4th year of King Jehoiakim, the Lord instructs Jeremiah to write down everything that the Lord has told him from the first day that he spoke to him until today. So Jeremiah calls Baruch, and Baruch writes on a scroll at Jeremiah's dictation all the words that the Lord had spoken to him. Jeremiah then instructs Baruch to go and read them aloud before the people, because Jeremiah himself is barred from going into the house of the Lord. And the purpose is so that the people will repent, and perhaps they will be spared disaster. The officials hear that Baruch is reading these words of Jeremiah before the people, and so they invite Baruch to come and read them to him. And they ask him, was it at Jeremiah's dictation that you wrote down all these? And he said, yes, he dictated all these words to me, and I wrote them with ink on the scroll. But the people are extremely alarmed. And so they bring the scroll to the king. And the king asks Jehudi to read the scroll to the king. And as Jehudi reads it, the king cuts off a piece and burns it until the entire scroll was consumed. And the king, unlike the officials, is not alarmed. He's just irritated. And people are sent to arrest Baruch and the prophet Jeremiah, but the Lord hid them. And at this point, the Lord comes again to Jeremiah. Take another scroll and write on it all the former words that were in the first scroll, which King Jehoiakim of Judah has burned. And because he has burned, there will be disaster. So here we have a fairly detailed account of the dictation of Jeremiah to a scribe, the scribe taking it all down, and in a way that's quite extensive. The words are then read aloud, burned, and then rewritten.